y'all, this is Marley K. Hope y'all are well. Got a story that I want to share with you, and it's really important, in my opinion, because it ties into this push for digitalization of everything so that we can be all plugged into the Internet of Things and Web 3.0. But how China has basically cornered the market on the smart devices and got us all jammed up and tangled up in our underwear. So basically, something that I've been talking about for a long time is about how all this technology that was created in China, Chinese made, they've built backdoors into pretty much everything. So that everything that we have, any technology, or a lot of the technology that they want to use, can be converted for them to be able to spy on us. And if you're a nobody, I guess it doesn't matter. But say if you work for the government, if you work in Intel, if you're in the military, if you, are someone who may be problematic for the government, or if you want to do like they do during the election seasons, you give different groups different messages and have stuff all stirred up. So there are a lot of implications for this uh, power or this ability or opportunity that China has to basically take over our power grid, even stop cars. So if you have a car that is a newer modeled car with all the fancy smancy bells and whistles, satellite technology, you can get satellite radio, everything is digital, it's computerized, has chips in it. You're in danger, buddy and ma'am. So this means basically if you don't have a older car, like a car with no technology in it, no chips, like an old box Chevy or old truck from the 70s and 80s, maybe the early 90s, depending on the type of car, you could be stranded on the side of the road if the adversary decided that they wanted to do that to you. You could also, um, just not be able to get your automobiles repaired because the technology used to repair those, uh, um, malfunctions are also digital. So we're looking at a situation where we could, like, literally, as a country, be paralyzed because we have all these technologies that were created by China, and they've built in back doors to use them in a way that is helpful for them if you want to take over a nation, if you want to cripple a nation. And so, I don't know whether we will be physically attacked or if there will be this, you know, diverse, diversified type of warfare, which is what I'm thinking. Excuse me. So, I'm going to read this story to you, but I just want you to keep in mind not only is it a data point, but it is also a warning. So you should be preparing on how you're going to, function without technology, getting rid of a lot of technology that you have in your house. That's, that could cause you to be in a situation where you don't have control. And, for the record, we all have, smart meters on our houses, which means if they wanted to, and I'm sure those things were created in China. I don't even look anymore. I just make an assumption nothing is made in America. But if you have a smart meter on your house, it means that your power can be controlled digitally. So if they wanted to crash our economy or have us without power or whatever, it's very easy. So we are citizens, not necessarily in a war. We didn't create these wars, but we are involved in them. We are casualties of the war, or we are collateral damage. Let's put it that way. So see yourself as collateral damage and try to prevent yourself from being collateral damage. So let's get into this story. It came out yesterday, and it says China's plan to rule the world's smart devices, FCC urged to act. When police, firefighters, and other responders across the U.S. rush to emergencies, they rely on special devices to avoid overwhelmed public networks. Chinese spies could be listening in. Chinese made components in devices certified for use on the federally managed FirstNet public safety network are designed to be able to send information back to servers in China, and it's not clear how effective the security measures to prevent that are, according to engineers and industry sources with knowledge of the equipment who spoke to Newsweek. The components, or cellular connectivity modules, are generally used to connect objects, whether cars or medical equipment, to the internet. So, do you understand how serious this is? The growing ubiquity of Chinese cellular connectivity modules in these and other devices in this so called Internet of Things has prompted concerns in Congress, including a letter from the House Select Committee on Strategic Competition between the U.S. and the Chinese Communist Party, urging regulators to address the potential security risk. It also promises to open a new front in the increasingly complicated tussle over technology between Washington and Beijing. Like, I don't even understand who works with their enemy and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna let y'all make a lot of stuff for me. I don't like y'all. I know y'all don't like me. I know y'all always trying to sabotage me, but let's do business together." Like, does that make any sense? I'm not gonna work with people who I know openly don't like me, who are openly hostile towards me, who and especially if I know I've abused people or beat people up or done something, I ain't trying to go out and be their friend, because in my mind I'm always thinking I can't trust this person. You know, I don't operate like that, but if I was that type of villainous person, I would be thinking I don't trust them. So I'm not gonna let them do anything for me. Like, that's just good old common sense. So this business work relationship where you work with your enemy and then your enemy can plan all these different ops throughout your nation so they can bring you down whenever they get ready. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So, I don't know, and I'm sure it's all by design, but still, at the end of the day, we're going to be the collateral damage. We're going to be the casualties of war. So we have to know about these things so that we can be proactive, develop countermeasures, develop ways for us to protect ourselves or build buffers to soften all these blows that are going to be coming our way. Using the modules may create a backdoor for malign Chinese government actors to access and potentially cripple first response devices, which is why you need to make sure you got everything you need, because it's possible nobody's going to be coming for you. You might not be able to call 911. You may not be able to reach anybody for help. So you need to be able to help yourself. Select Committee Chairman Representative Mike Gallagher of Wisconsin, Republican, told Newsweek, "It's just common sense. American critical infrastructure must not be dependent upon CPP, the Chinese Communist Party, technology," Gallagher said. This letter is also signed by Select Committee Ranking Member Representative Raja Krishnamurthy, a Democrat from Illinois. Officials from the FirstNet Authority, the federal agency that manages the emergency networks, told Newsweek that Chinese modules are used in devices certified for their system. but said their testing and other measures keep them secure. Security experts and former officials said they were much less confident. So, I mean, if you don't have evidence like this country is sold out, I don't know. I can't keep saying it enough for you to get it that we are sold out. You are on your own. So, Yasharel, if you are listening to the sound of my voice, black people, B1, FBA, Gentiles, whatever you want to call yourself, you're going to be on your own. So, when all hell starts breaking loose in whatever area, you're on your own. This is why it's imperative that you have things that you need in your home to take care of you if you are ill, whether it's a minor cold or if it's something serious. You need like a real serious first aid kit. You need stuff for trauma injuries. Um, Not that you're going to be able to save somebody like on MASH, but if somebody's bleeding, be able to stop it. Somebody got a broken leg or whatever, have the tools you need to be able to, um, uh, you know, support whatever injuries have occurred. Even sutures. Like I have sutures. I got a book. I know how to sew. I'm gonna sew somebody up. Now your stitch might be ugly, but you're gonna be you'll be sewed up. Excuse me. You have to know how to do a lot of things right now. And if you don't know how to do it, now is the time to be reading books and watching videos and figuring out how to um, take care of yourself in the event there is some type of an emergency, because you may not have the ability to call for help. A lot of people don't have landlines. All we have are cell phones. If you have a cell phone that has components in it that were made in China, your phone may not work. You may not have internet service. We may not have power. Our smart meter on our home may get our utilities turned off. So many things are controlled digitally that we take for granted. Even our houses, our Bluetooths, our Ring doorbell cameras, our um, wireless routers. Like we have basically sold ourselves out because we trusted people who we thought had our best interest at heart. And when it comes, you know, to just the gist of it, nobody has our best interest. Everybody is working for the adversary and for personal gain. So we are sold out, okay? That's the point. The House Committee's letter sent on Monday urges the Federal Communications Commission (FCC) to use the same tools Congress gave it to keep Chinese firms such as Huawei out of the 5G infrastructure in the United States. While the measures against those companies drew wide attention and denials of any harmful activities from the Chinese firms, the concerns over Chinese made modules and sensitive equipment made by lesser known companies such as Quaketel have been little reported. Both the US and China see it as vital to dominate emerging technologies. US administrations have sought to restrict China's imports of cutting edge technology, such as high performance microchips, and to keep Chinese made networking equipment out of the newly built 5G backbone in the US. China has rejected any suggestions that its companies are a threat to the US, but it has also applied its own sanctions on some US firms. The Internet of Things, machines talking to machines on the internet. And so that means anything that you have that can get a wireless signal is on the Internet of Things. It will be on the Internet of Things. It's not fully operational, but they're getting it in place. That's what this beast infrastructure is all about. That's why giving us these lollipops and all these medicines and different things with this nanotechnology in it, we're going to be machines that talk to the internet because we all have stuff in us now that they can see. We have little transmitters in our blood attached to cells that replicate and that are able to communicate to the internet. So it's highly possible, that even your body can be hacked and controlled by somebody else. And I'm just putting it out there. If you go do your research, the information is out there. I have led you to the water, but I cannot make you drink it. So just do your own research. There are studies out there that have proven there are things inside of everybody, whether you took the lollipop or not. It's in the meat, it's in the air, it's in the water, it's in medicine, it's in everything. You can't escape it. So it's in medicine, it's in soap, it's in bath products, shaving creams, they promote it as it's new technology. Anytime you see something that has new technology or nanotechnology, or they have different names for what it is, bioengineered. That's what it is. So we're all able now to also be connected as individuals to the Internet of Things. Is a fast growing technology that extends far beyond secure communications. It is in so called smart consumer goods such as refrigerators, those LED light bulbs, and garage doors, as well as automobiles. If you got one of those fancy cars and you bragging about it, you got yourself a trap. You could be on the road and they could just shut you down at any time. That's what me and Watchman Nehemiah always talk about, having older cars. Get you old box Chevy. Get you something that doesn't use that type of technology, that doesn't have any chips in it. Good luck finding that because they are very hard to come by. And when people do see them, they snatch them up, because people who are wise understand what's coming. The people who have those types of vehicles will be the few who are able to move. But you got to understand, whenever they decide to do this, or if they decide to do this, there will be cars literally stopped over highways and roads all over this country. You won't be able to go anyplace. You will be stuck wherever the incident occurs. So it's always something to think about, like keeping a go bag in your car if you have that type of car. You don't have an older car. um, Keeping a go bag with some good shoes and different things in case you have to walk a long distance. Now if you're traveling in a fancy car and you're a long way from home, I don't know what you're going to do. People just going to be stuck on the side of the road, and it's just going to be a problem. But in that case, you should keep blankets and food and water and different things so that you can survive, if you happen to be stuck in traffic, even if you don't have that type of vehicle. And be thinking, if I am stuck, maybe I don't have a newer car, I have an older car, but I need some run flex. I might have to drive on the median or in the grass. I need some uh food in my car. I need to keep extra fuel. These are the types of things that you need to be thinking about while things are good, because once this happens, it's too late. You don't take any moment for granted when it comes to, emergency preparedness. We got a lot of different risk right now that we have to worry about. And our people typically are the last to know. We are the least prepared, and we'll be the ones crying, oh, the government should help us. Well, I'm telling you, they ain't going to help you because they are sold out. We are done. We got a Red Dawn situation possibly here. So it's easy to see a Red Dawn scenario happening now. The more that you learn about how um, corrupt our system is and how much we rely on foreign imports for our daily um, lives. It's just amazing. Medical equipment and aircraft maintenance systems, just to name a few. A smart refrigerator, for instance, would track its contents, send text or email messages to remind you of expiration dates, and order a delivery when you're low on eggs. OMG, what is wrong with people? Who wants that in their house? Data from the cellular modules represents a potential gold mine for Chinese intelligence, which could analyze information collected from millions of connected devices for insights into what is happening in the U.S. at times of national crisis or at any other time, according to engineers, former diplomats, and intelligence officials. So people are blowing the whistle, but folks not trying to hear it. In addition to questions over the U.S. reliance on Chinese technology in areas such as policing and disaster response, there are also concerns over risk to key infrastructures such as energy and transportation. Chinese Communist Party leaders have repeatedly said they are pursuing global economic, military, scientific, and technological preeminence by 2049, while U.S. intelligence services have labeled China as the greatest threat to the country. Disabling every police body cam with the click of a mouse. Like, who cares about that? Because they turn them things off on their own. So, this part right here, I'm like, ooh, so what? Like, they can already not turn them on when they want to. And, use any excuse to turn them off. So there's a loophole for this. So I don't see this as, excuse me, a major deal breaker. To me, this is just nothing. So, and I'm saying this because I have assisted in writing body cam grant applications, and I have analyzed policies for them. And I always question, like, if they have the power and the privilege of turning off the camera, there's a loophole. What even is the point? And they knew this when they created this. So I never had faith in body cam technology, as well as the servers where all this data is stored is not viewed on a regular basis. It just sits someplace. So, it's highly possible that could be erased. So any proof of crimes could go away. But, to me, this throwing this in here, disabling every body cam is kind of like throwing off at true Israel. So when that happens and something happens to us, you won't have any proof. If you're recording and you rely on, your data plan or wireless technology someplace, it could be possible that they could control that. It could or could not, be in your device. So we're at a crossroads, basically. Anything that can hook up to the Internet of Things is a danger to us. So it says Western experts are especially alarmed because China's sweeping national security laws compel its technology companies to share any data they have anywhere in the world if requested by the country's intelligence services, said retired British diplomat Charles Parton, who spent more than 2 decades working on or in China and is now a fellow at the Royal United Services Institute. All data goes back to China. Data of that kind at this scale is a gold mine for Chinese intelligence agencies to exploit if Chinese companies dominate the supply of these modules, Parton said. Imagine knowing the location minute by minute of every police body cam in the United States or the UK. So, anyway, to me, that's neither here nor there. Um, Financial support from the Chinese state. So this says in 2022 there are 202 million cellular IoT connections in the United States. and 2.8 billion worldwide, according to Satyajit Sinha, principal analysis at IoT Analytics, a Hamburg, Germany-based company. Tell you everything you need to know. Those numbers are set to more than double to 450 million and 5.8 billion respectively over 5 years. And this is because they are pushing those tablets, they're pushing new computers, they're pushing cell phones, all these different technologies to make sure people are connected to the Internet of Things. As things devolve in the country, people are going to be trying to get more wireless technologies to watch their property. That's going to be connected to the Internet of Things. People are going to be buying more electric vehicles and different technologies in their automobiles, going to be connected to the Internet of Things. So we have a lot of different technologies, even things like wireless earbuds, um, wireless Bluetooth speakers, anything that's wireless will be hooked up to the IoT connections. It's considered an IoT connection. So this is why I try to use wired things. I use wired headphones. I don't connect my phone to anything in the car um, as a convenience. I do use a wireless, or I guess to say a Bluetooth speaker when I'm outside, but I have a device for that. But I try to limit what I use when it comes to wireless and the internet. Now, I do have multiple computers because that's how I do my work. But if push comes to shove, I'm gonna tear up everything. I'm just, it's over. Whenever it's time, it's always time for it to be done. But the issue is if you're spying, you're not gonna do anything that, puts people onto the fact that you're spying. So we could be spied on right now and don't know it. So we're just all tangled up in our underwear, basically. 2/3 or 4 billion of those cellular connections will be in China, Sinha said. The top two cellular module manufacturers in the world in 2022 is QTEL and Fibocom were in China, according to IoT Analytics. Their close ties to the Chinese Communist Party are clear from the significant state support they receive in the form of financial subsidies, grants, and tax breaks, according to an extensive review by Newsweek of Chinese language company reports, official documents, and state media accounts. Communist Party leaders make no secret about the role technology will play in their publicly declared goal of global preeminence. IoT was identified as an emerging strategic industry as of 2009. By 2012, the powerful Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, which works closely with the Ministry of State Security, was calling the technology strategic high ground. China's 13th and 14th 5-year plans running from 2016 to 2025 identify IoT technology as part of the information flow, along with the Belt and Road Initiative. China's vast push to build a hold on a global infrastructure, dominating emerging technology markets such as IoT isn't only an economic goal, says security experts and former officials. Excuse me. China's leaders believe it is also the key to a new world order that will enable the Communist Party to further consolidate control at home and extend it around the world, according to Lisa Tobin, a former national security official who has worked on China issues at the Alphabet Agency, the Pentagon, and the White House. They understand that the nation which controls the technology controls the world and gets to write the rules of the road for the digital economy and for the information that flows over those networks, she said. The ambition to build a science and technology superpower was highlighted in the Chinese leader Xi Jinping's latest book in May titled On Technology, Self-Reliance, and Self-Improvement. In 2022, Quectel, which Beijing has designated a national champion in IoT technology, reported annual operating revenue of just under 2 billion and owned 38.5% of the global market for modules by volume, according to Counterpoint Research. That makes it the backbone of China's burgeoning dominance in the sector. And that is quite scary to know, but okay. Altogether, the dozen or so of Chinese manufacturers had 77% of the global market by volume last year. So if you want to know who's going to be the leader of the New World Order, this is basically letting you know. If you can't rule by military might, you will rule by, um, who controls the digitalization of this transitioning global order. Outside China, Chinese companies expanded to capture 53% of all sales by volume last year. Counterpoint senior research analyst Suman Mandel told Newsweek. Contributing to this success has been a variety of direct and indirect financial support from the Chinese state, including export tax rebates, other exemptions, and offsets designed to support high tech businesses, and a preferential tax rate 10% points lower than the regular company tax of 25%. Um, so I'm going to skip this to this part. So it says a Newsweek analysis of Chinese language company reports, official documents, and state media accounts show that Quectel receives hundreds of millions of dollars in direct and indirect support. So anyway, I just want to share this with you. These folks got us over a barrel. So it says the cellular modules made by Chinese firms are increasingly ubiquitous in IoT devices made by household name U.S. consumer companies such as Amazon's Ring, Tesla, and Comcast Xfinity. There are also in more than 130 devices certified by the FirstNet Authority for use on their dedicated first responder network. The problem, say experts, is that the firmware which controls the modules can be updated over the air by the manufacturer, changing its capabilities, for instance, to upgrade it or fix security flaws. If you can upgrade the firmware, you can change the capabilities at any moment, said Jack Wilmer, former Chief Information Security Officer at the Department of Defense. Over the air updates are a powerful security tool used by companies such as Apple to push fixes for newly discovered vulnerabilities out of the hundreds of millions of iPhone users. But a malicious manufacturer or one acting at the behest of a competitor state such as China could use that capability to open back doors in the module and try to steal data, he said. You can test a component to see if it's secure, Wilmer told Newsweek. But if it can be updated over the air, that test is meaningless the minute it's updated. So that's very interesting. So, anyway, I will include this article in the description. It is really long, but I suggest you read it. It's a good read because it is a data point, but it is also a good tool for you to develop your primitive preparedness plan. How are you going to communicate if you don't have any tech? How will you get around if you have a vehicle that is modern and is connected to the Internet of Things? How will you deal if you have an emergency and you can't call for 911 because the system is down? Do you have a fire extinguisher or multiple fire extinguishers, water hoses, things like that that you can use to put out fires in your house? Can you shut your power off on your own? If you have a plumbing issue, can you turn off your water to your home in order to stop flooding? Just it's This is a wonderful intelligence piece, in my opinion. Things for you to think about in the event that any of these things that are mentioned in this article are hacked. We have to understand we are at war. We are already in war, and our country just isn't telling us the truth about it. Everybody else in the globe is preparing for war except for us. We're over here promoting the alphabet agenda, fighting over foolery, talking about corrupt government, dealing with celebrity nonsense, and everybody else in the world is doing drive runs of what happens if a nuclear bomb is dropped, what happens if there's a cyber attack. Um, we're not doing anything. I think I even read in Russia that P Daddy is tearing down the 5G cell towers. Um, Let me see if I can find that story. And I don't even trust Snopes. So, there are a couple of um, different stories. If you look at American stories, they'll say it's not true. If you look at foreign entities, they will say it is true. But um, it's really hard to get the information right now. I read in a couple of places last week that um, P Daddy ordered the 5G towers to be torn down. I thought that was very interesting because to me, it signifies that they know something is coming. Excuse me. Of course, they don't want us to know because they don't want us to be prepared. Because if Babylon got to fall, the people got to hurt. So you have to understand again that we're casualties and we're collateral damage. So if you think that way and you start thinking, how am I going to survive primitively? What happens if these things are used against us? And we don't have any alternatives. It's really something for us to think about, and I believe that we should be preparing for a life without technology. I'm content with um not having any technology. My concern would be like, I have family out of state. I have a son that lives out of state. I wouldn't be able to communicate with him. So we need to have a way to communicate. But what difference does it make if everything we have that's hackable, because it has something, made by the Chinese? If you buy, a radio, it could be hacked. If you have a cell phone, it could not work. If you rely on cell service, it could not work. If you don't have a landline, you're just out of luck when you're trying to communicate with family members. Um, and they don't want you to have landlines. That's why they told everybody it's easier for us to just be on mobile phones. So most people don't have landlines anymore. You don't have payphones anymore. We used to have payphones on the street. There are no payphones. So if you don't have a payphone, how will you communicate with family outside of the area? Do you have a plan? What is the plan? Um, so it's really difficult to think about. Um, but we have to consider life without technology, especially if you're awakened, especially if you understand that this is a part of this new world order and that it is a part of um, the beast infrastructure. Coming out of this system should be a priority. And thinking about it now is much better than being forced to do it later on the fly. So the season of discomfort is coming, so let's plan for it. The season of living without tech is coming, so let us prepare for it. And, like I said, if you got a fancy newer car, you better be trying to get your old hoop ride, e-bike, or something that can move you from point A to point B. Get you some good shoes, some hiking shoes, or hiking boots. If you have these smart technologies in your home, I recommend you get them out. If you got a smart refrigerator, probably should get rid of it. If you got a smart oven, smart whatever, you should get rid of that stuff. If you got a smart doorbell, I can't tell you what to do, but when the time comes, you might want to disable it and get you an old doorbell where you push and get you a peephole. Um, we're gonna have to make some choices, and we have become accustomed to a lot of conveniences that are now just not going to, work for us. So, in any event, I'm going to log off. I will have this story for you in the description. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. This is Marta K, and I'm out.